Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, traders from all around the world. My name is Will from Senior Stocks. In this short video, or semi-short video, I'll be going over my top stocks going into next week, as well as core stocks, which I'll also be watching. Within this video, I'll be depicting the direction, profit targets, and also some risk-off points within the video. So without further ado, let's get into it. Right, so let's jump into the video quickly. So we've got SPY. What is the SPY doing? We are still in a great downtrend, but as you can see, we are somewhat turning bullish. Now, I'm not saying we're that bullish as we haven't taken out the recent pivot highs, but if we do some simple trend lines, and this parallel trend line shows us quite a lot. So as we can see on the chart right now, we have had some rejection from this recent gap down, as we can see right here. I should probably use a different colored pen, so let's go back to black. So yeah, we've got some rejection from this recent gap fill of 393, and now we are holding this parallel midpoint on this chart. Now, I'm not saying that I'm bullish yet on this on the index, or at least or many stocks. I'm just saying we can likely bounce and test this next resistance once again, or perhaps seeing a double top, something like this, before we see downward movement on the chart. We've also got the 50 MA just above, which is this red line right here, which will act as more resistance for the SPY. But right now, I am liking the setup as we are holding this midpoint of the trend line, and I do personally think we can at least test 392 again before we see any more downward movement. Now, of course, it's just my opinion, and for risk-off points for this stock, or I mean index, we do want to see at least this level here hold. So if I can get out my my rectangle tool, so we're looking at 370 to 374 to 370 to hold for this for the index. Otherwise, it is likely to continue to the downside, or at least test the recent pivot low, which is around 361, and then so forth downwards of 350. So next up, let's have a look at NVIDIA. Now, what is NVIDIA doing? NVIDIA simply, or at least all these main stocks which I'm covering in this short part of the video, do follow the SPY. Now, of course, you guys do know that. So yeah, NVIDIA is looking very oversold. It is another tech stock, and tech stocks are oversold at the minute. I don't know if you guys have seen the charts, but tech stocks are very oversold right now, and I do think we can see a phenomenal bounce on these very soon. Now, for NVIDIA, I'm liking the setup quite a lot. Now, I don't actually remember the time where NVIDIA's gapped down this heavily on 5 bearish bars, except from this time here, back in April of 2022. And that was some very fast movement. But then again, we did come down to this this very key support down here, and then consolidate for a little while. But for NVIDIA, we've just came straight down, and there is not much support until let's just say, well, basically we're around it right now, this 145 area. That is an awful trend line, but let's just imagine that was good. Okay, we are coming down to this this very strong trend line around 145, 143. So NVIDIA and AMD, as AMD generally plays sympathy to NVIDIA, except from obviously on news. But yeah, I do think NVIDIA can see a bounce. Now, what I am looking for on this stock is for some Fibonacci levels to be broken. So for example, if we see the break of this 0.38% level break, so let's just say this is around 155, we are looking to go bullish on NVIDIA. So that would basically take us out of this this bear flag consolidation, right? So yeah, obviously if this breaks, we are looking to go long until the next parallel line, or at least this downtrend at least, to be tested. So we are looking to long until this black trend line here. These arrows are absolutely awful on this chart, but let's just actually create a real trend line. So we're looking to long until 158 plus, if of course 155 break. Now, of course, NVIDIA could simply just consolidate down here for quite a while until making either a move to the downside, at least testing this next trend line. I mean the current trend line, or at least a bounce up to the trend line for more downward movement. So just some ideas for NVIDIA just there. Next up on the list is Meta. This is also a bonus content idea, so I just want to depict this one really quickly. Obviously, we're in a downtrend, but if I just zoom out on the chart very quickly, we are basically in a major buy zone for Meta. As we can see, previously within the 2018 downward force in the market, it got bought up. Within the another 2018 or 2019 downward force in the market, it got bought up. Obviously, it did go a lot below this this blue line, and then of course the COVID crash also gave another phenomenal buying opportunity for Meta as it consolidate inside this range. So I just want to highlight that real quickly. Meta could simply just bounce out of this area, as we have seen a few bounces previously within this demand zone. So basically for Meta, I am looking for this 50% line of this parallel channel to be broken. Let's just say around 166 to be broken to go long. Then we want to be taking out the highs of these pivot points, so around 171, and then above there we want to be looking for these gaps to be filled. All right, so 175, 176, and then of course 182. Now we do want to be paying attention to the 50 MA on daily time frame as well, which is basically coming in line directly with my trend line. Now this isn't a coincidence. This is how I draw my trend lines, and it's just for visual purposes. I'm not saying that these are strict trend lines or whatever, but you guys should of course know how to use trend line. If you don't and you would like a video on trend lines, then just comment below and I'll post a short video explaining as much as possible in that video. But for Meta, we are looking to go long on shares if we do see 166 break, for then of course these pivot highs to break, so around 171, and then of course we're looking for more upward movement from there for Meta. Next up is Amazon. Amazon is looking okay, right? We're in quite a demand zone right here, but the only thing is, if we do break out this demand zone, there is quite a there is a lot of room for some downside on Amazon, but we will get into that shortly. So firstly, a bullish sentiment on Amazon would be for this 110 to break, right? For 110 to break, we would be looking for these recent highs to be broken of this pivot point, right? So at least around this square or rectangle area here to be some resistance, and then of course if we break out of that, we are looking to test these MAs, and these MAs are quite far away from the current levels, so 109 back to 118, and then maybe 130 to then test this gap. That is of course dependent on how the market reacts to these drastic recession times. So yeah, no current ideas or positions on Amazon, but particularly we are looking for 111/110 to break to at least see 113/14, and then above from there we're looking for the pivot highs to break of 117, and then at least if this pivot high of 117 does break, we can see, or at least we have sentiment then of a start of the uptrend. But then of course there are resistance just above here as well, which could create a double top and then some downward movement. So on a bearish note, if we do see this demand zone break between 120 and 16, we are looking for some drastic movement all the way back to the downside. And as we can see on this weekly chart right now, there is not a lot of support to go from on Amazon. So if I just draw this next demand zone on this stock, we are looking for a fall back down to at least $90, right? There's quite a dramatic chunk out of Amazon's market cap if, of course, we do foul or descend, back down to these levels. But anything's possible. We could see this, or we could see a bump in the market for a reversal. Another tech stock I like the look of right now is Netflix. We are currently consolidating between 160 and let's call it 190. So it's clearly under accumulation, as we do see some decent volume coming in, except from obviously the very, very bearish volume we saw on the earnings gap down. But other than that, we're looking okay on Netflix. I'm liking the setup. All right, so maybe this trend line might break this week, and then of course above that trend line we are looking to take out this recent pivot high around 191. So basically I'm looking to go long, or I won't be going long, sorry, until this pivot high breaks, as there is not much support or resistance, as some of these candles are very, very big. For example, this one here, there is not going to be a lot of resistance until this is cleared for me to actually risk off of. Like, we could see a huge bullish candle all the way back up to these highs, as there isn't much stopping us from going there, except from maybe possibly around 185, which was at least a gap down, or 182, which was the actual previous gap down. So yeah, we've also got the 50 MA just above for NFLX as well. This is obviously going to be a huge resistance for the stock, as we haven't touched it yet in, let's see, when was the last time we touched this 50 MA? Didn't mean to make that too big. We last touched this 50 MA basically in November of 2021, so quite some time ago, and that was basically when we literally went into the huge downtrend we have seen so far. But as we are basing, we are looking quite bullish to go long on NFLX if 192 does break. Now Tesla, we're looking good on Tesla. We have seen some rejection from this MA just around 760. I personally think we do see some more downward action or downward price action on Tesla, as you can see here on this image. We are currently consolidating a 3-bar consolidation, as you can see here, 1, 2, 3. So breakdown of this consolidation should see this recent demand zone here. Now I have done this Fibonacci retracement, and they do a line back down to 630 on Tesla. So these are levels I'm looking for. Now of course, if we do break above, let's say if we do break above 700, we could then go bullish towards this this recent pivot of around 750. But this all depends on how the SPY is doing, how the general market is doing. But so far I'm bearish on Tesla to at least see this 630 to be tested. Next up is Google. Now I did talk about this double bottom on Google a few weeks ago, and this has played out perfectly since then. For example, we called it just down here, and from there we literally ran from 2100 all the way back to 2300, so quite a great return. But then we obviously couldn't take out the previous pivot high, and also the 50 MA got in the way as well. So far on Google, I do not see a potential sell-up, except from the fact that if we do come down into this demand zone again, and I at least want to see this 2100 level to be tested again before going long. I just want to make sure that it can hold. Perhaps we see like a nice wick as we saw here on the 24th of May, which indicates some wick off accumulation. So next up is Microsoft. Now what is Microsoft doing? It has been rejected from the 50 MA, like most stocks in this in the top sector. The top stocks. So yeah, it is a bull flag though. Let's have a look at the Fibonacci's. We are holding the 50% Fibonacci level, which is very, very bullish considering we haven't had a deep pullback just yet into, or at least down to this between 0.5 and 0.38 level, so just around here. So technically we have had a deep pullback, and so far we have got quite a phenomenal and quite a nice wick from this downward wick action back down to these levels. So of course, for a bullish sentiment on this stock, we are looking for at least a reclaim and break of 260, and then from there we could possibly see the recent pivot break if this bull flag plays out well. Now of course, if this recent low of 250 does actually break, we are looking for 100% retracement back down to the current lows, so around 240. Sorry. So it's something to look for on Microsoft. Just there. So basically I'm looking for 261 to break to then go bullish. Next up is Apple. Apple has not tested the 50 MA yet, so we haven't had a clear rejection from this vital indicator yet. So potentially we could see it again, another nice bull flag just like Microsoft. We are currently holding the 50 Fibonacci level, and we have had a deep pullback due to this wick here. Now, as you can see, we have had quite a nice volume spike on this wick, as we have closed above on the previous next day bullish candle. On the next bullish candle, which has arose here, which is on lower volume. So that basically means that anyone who shorted on this wick here is now under the water. So we are looking for continuation on Apple. So a break above, of course, this pivot high here. So let's say around 140, and we will look to go bullish for at least this trend line to break, and then of course we're looking for this 50 MA just above at 146 to be tested. Now of course this can only be tested if a recent pivot highs can break, and that is just around 143. So a potential day trading / swing trading idea just there, if of course 142/141 breaks. For first bonus idea I want to go over is PLUG/plug. Now plug is looking very, very bullish, at least if we do break over this recent pivot high of 1823. This basically is the previous pivot point, and at least we are bull flagging right now for a possible break of this 1823 level, for then of course the start of an uptrend. Now I want to be adding at least at this break of the pivot point, as I want to be in the uptrend as soon as it takes place, and I think that plug is extremely oversold and can actually see a very, very nice reversal from these levels, as we are experiencing seeing some signs of bullish accumulation. Now I've also highlighted some profit targets for this trade, which are around 1906, 20.91 and 22.99. This is not financial advice, it's just an idea which I'm giving to you guys, and also for anyone who is interested. Next up is RIG. RIG is another chart which I'm very, very, very much so liking the look of. We are coming down to this $3.10 level /$3 level, and as we can see in the previous examples, or at least previous price history, we have seen this level hold quite very, very nicely for the next uptrend, or at least for some accumulation. So just an idea. We are of course looking for $3.48 to break for at least this double top to then be tested, which is highlighted with this blue zone right here, or at least the neckline of the double bottom, sorry. So we are looking for a profit target of $3.76 to break as our first one, and then from there we could see $4.16 plus. Next up is Airbnb. It is a tech stock, very, very oversold in my opinion. All-time highs are around $219, and we are currently sat at $90. So we are wedging right now as well, and I am looking for 103.34 to break, and this is a recent pivot, so this can be quite controversial, as it is a technical breakout trade for this level. But in my opinion, if we do break over this level, we will see a start of an uptrend, as we're very, very oversold, and I'm liking the huge spikes of volume down here also. Now of course 103.34 breaks, we are looking for the next profit targets, which are highlighted in this chart, so around 108.91, 115.72 and also 122.31. The 50 EMA is just above as well, very, very close to this 115 level, so we are looking for these targets to be tested. Another tech stock which is extremely oversold is SoFi. SoFi is looking very, very good as well for at least this 50 MA to be tested on this stock. I've got no specific buy zones, or at least a breakover point for this one, but I'm just saying to keep an eye on it, as we are extremely oversold, and the last time we did come down to this level, we saw a nice bounce back up to all the way to $8, so just an idea, putting it out there. I did also go over Meta in the video, but this is also a bonus idea. Now of course we are coming down to this very, very nice blue zone, which I did talk about, and I'm looking to go long for at least investing purposes for the future, because I do believe in the metaverse, and that is the next step for humankind, because we are obviously going to be approaching this environment where everything's going to be it's going to be all virtual. In my opinion, there's not going to be a lot of I mean, there will obviously be outside contact, of course, but in my opinion, people will be in the metaverse. Like, if you got to think about the low-income countries. Like, if they get a hold of an Oculus Rift, the glasses, I'm not specifically I can't actually say the name, or at least think the name of them, but the goggles, what you put over your eyes, and then you can walk into the metaverse. Like, think of what that can do for low-income countries. Now, obviously, that can be quite hard as to think about right now, as like, how can they afford something like that? But if there can be jobs created inside the metaverse for people in these low income countries, then just think of the amount of money there can be just being sourced from these low income countries. Like, now before I get into it or whatever, if you would like a video on this sort of stuff, I can suggest some articles to look into, but I'm personally very, very long on the metaverse, and I think that it can be a very, very life-changing experience, or at least a life-changing environment in the years to come. Like, I'm speaking 10 years, 20 years out, or at least even sooner than that. It just depends how quickly the market, or at least how quickly people can grasp the overall idea of the metaverse. Like, we've already seen NFTs go absolutely wild, and we've also seen some real estate inside the actual metaverse go for millions and millions of pounds and dollars. So just some ideas. But yeah, this brings it to an end of my video on my weekly watch list going into next week. Now, I am quite new to YouTube, of course, so I will be getting better and better as the weeks go by, and then, of course, my editing skills will also become better. So in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoy your week. I wish you all the luck in the world, and I'll catch you guys for the next video.